disagree, we still have visions. At the beginning of the 21st century, something began to change in the storytelling industry. Due to new media and the possibility for consumers to become producers, the relationship between consumer and producer changed drastically. A new culture of participation emerged. German-language theatres also engaged in this discourse, so several theatre experts, including us from 400 ASA, formulated possible manifestations of this theatre for netizens. The discussion is still going on and will change the role of theatre in the long term. The theatre company 400 ASA has always wanted the audience to participate in the narrative actively.
An unserem unerschütterlichen Friedenswillen werden alle Bajonette der internationalen Reaktion zerschellen. Siebenter Kamerad, lach ihn aus!
Whether tours of our productions were documented on film, as with the play Italienische Nacht about left-wing activism and right-wing terrorism, and then translated onto other storytelling platforms.
Also ich meine, die Frage der Militanz ist oftmals ja auch die, dass es gar keine andere Wahl gibt.
Or whether we provoked political opponents.
Ein Regisseur muss sich vorher überlegen, was es für eine Wirkung haben, was es für Folgen haben.
400 ASA has always had an expanded sense of theatre. In our eyes, theatre should reach beyond its traditionally small scene and provoke and challenge society, causing it to react. Many of our productions achieved strong effects and equally strong feedback from the audience, the political opponent and curators.
Ein Leben aus so alter Zeit zeigen wir, dass wir nicht mehr wissen, ist es auch wahr.
At the beginning of the 21st century, we felt an ever stronger need, probably also inspired by the constant sensory overstimulation of the new social media, to reformulate our idea of theatre.
Du musst nicht quatschen mit mir, du musst spielen! Nein, das bringt nichts, ich setze es auf.
We believe theatre should try out new forms of communication, but in our eyes it can no longer do so in the conditioned and capitalized spaces of contemporary curation.
Scheißegal, wer da ist und wer mitmacht.
Theatre, both in its socio-political as well as its spiritual function, has to keep reconquering its space, prove itself as theatre again and again. This means the physical as well as the mental space.
Giorgio! Ciao!
For instance, we showed the anti-musical Wie 5 Mädchen jämmerlich im Branntwein umkommen after Jeremias Gotthelf, co-produced with the theatre in the Bahnhof Graz and staged by Ed Hauswirth as a neoliberal musical on the Münster platform in Bern, surrounded by billboards of sponsors. The topic was the success of extreme right-wing parties. These right-wing parties, whether in Germany, Austria, Hungary or the Ukraine, were inspired by the successful techniques of the right-wing SVP.
Bei einem Milchpreis von 68 Cent, einer ganz seitigen Anzeige, wir müssen den Bauern eine Chance geben, Milchwirtschaft in Deutschland muss erhalten werden. Darum bitten wir Sie, alle, die hier sind, Verbraucher, darum, dass diese 68 Cent gezahlt werden.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ich übergebe mich vor allen.
Würdest du lieber ewig in der Vorhölle schmoren oder ewig in der Hölle?
Ist Gott der Teufel Maxim?
Nein. Hast du eine Vorstellung davon, wer am 11. September schuld sein könnte?
More and more, our productions have moved into public space, and what has come to interest us increasingly is the tension between inside and outside, the border zone between urban space and suburban space, finally the dissolution of these concepts. The art space Per la Mode on the Langstrasse was an ideal space for a theatre for netizens. We began to play in that dense location and therefore to redefine theatre. We made first trials with a bus trip in 2002 on our tour of Medea after Lars von Trier in Copenhagen.
Out of frame. 20. a long shot from behind of Medea. The camera is just above the surface of the water. It sways back and forth and back and forth and finally sinks.
The Danish audience drove from Copenhagen to the film city of Centropa by bus. The performance then took place on the set of Dogville, which was just being shot. What was just a regular show for us, played in phonetic Danish, was for the audience from Copenhagen a unique trip into a world unknown to them, because they understood the bus trip and performance as a unit. This principle, we realized, had great potential to be developed further. In 2007, we moved Lukas Berfus' play Der Bus into a bus and performed in uncanny border zones of city and country.
Schwinde!
Stop that! Now go!
Er dreht dir den Hals um, so wie er dir die Hand gebrochen hat. Aber ich hole ihn und dann schaue ich mir an, wie er dir den Hals dreht.
For this purpose, we also founded a new production cell in Chur that brings city, nature and the mountains closer together in performances.
Please, don't ask that of me.
In the Berlin production Der Sumpf, 2010, the bus trip drove the audience into a dark Berlin of the past, to the Bad the Wall concert at the Berlin Wall in 1990. The dumb metaphor of the concert, Roger Waters' wall had nothing to do with the real wall, culminated in a concert before 100,000 people. It was one of the first mass concerts that brought East and West together, horrific and tame. A bloody decade lay before this audience. The performance combined personal memories to a magical political installation. Der Sumpf was a psychedelic trip into the past.
Erdings sagt, dass wahrscheinlich 1990 bei Pink Floyd gekotzt hat. Der Fahrer kam aus dem Osten und hieß Andreas. Kaputt zu sein war sein Amüsement schlechthin.
I was one of the curators of a cultural exchange program with the title La Cérémonie.
In La Cérémonie after Claude Chabrol, which was developed in Beijing, audio walks led the audience through the backstage areas of a theatre festival.
I often wonder at what point of the evening I could have decided differently.
Through dark alleys and then by boat to a clean bourgeois pavilion in which a stiff opening ceremony ended in a bloody massacre. Public space became our stage. We also used this technique for our films. Cinema is an important storytelling platform for us, in which we also apply our theatrical techniques and perform in public spaces. We want to integrate filmmaking into our expanded understanding of theatre. With our cinema films that follow the rules of that medium, we also want to influence society, use different media and provoke reactions. An important contrast to these loud and exhausting fights in and with society are our spiritual, quiet, offline experiences, our explorations of nature, our seminars in sensibility, our seemingly uncurated spaces in nature.
Ich will bald lieber nie mehr sein, als so da sein. Nicht als böse Gesichter.
In Der Teich and Zarathustra, two productions that led the audience into nature without the use of technology, our core intention was to produce moments in town and in nature that were not stuffed full of irony. These experiences also influenced Flow, a theatrical musical installation. Film and radio playmaking, but also the ambivalent relationship to spirituality, inspired this production, strange and new also to us. Here we worked together with the Berlin-based author Claudia Basravi and the musician Ted Geier, the so-called Group 400 ASA Sektion Nord, founded in Berlin.
Wann das war? 2015. Vor 30 Jahren.
La noce livre il stedi, pur là comincia l'umem ci non es inutil. Là comincia la canzone del necessario, una melodia unica ed indispensabile. La noce il stedi libera, guardai no mies frers e mies sors. Fazais l'arcincel, la punt del surumems, uscea dit Zarathustra.
All our works address the role of the spectator. What is his function in a production? What should the production provide? Education, religious inspiration, an offline experience, a feeling of uniqueness, or the feeling to be part of a storytelling campaign? Are the spectators merely users, clickers, members of the masses, waving citizens, parts of our installations exploited for our promotion? Answers remain to be given. We're searching, with a cruel smile on our lips. We're searching, together with our youthful flock that will take on a part of our representative duties.
Duck! What the fuck you want? Stick! You duck! And it's like the coolest! Stick! You duck! And it's like the coolest!
We transferred our irritation with the function of the spectator, turning more and more into a user, to our transmedia projects in a playful form.
Jetzt dreh dich orientiere dich. Siehst du die Hochhäuser in der Ferne? Und das orange M. Geh in Richtung dieser Hochhäuser.
With Der Polder, we translated the principle of a pen-and-paper fantasy board game into the real world and staged the PR campaign of the company in this world. Thus, gaming and PR were combined, with transmedia elements in real space and online, in such a way that it was never fully clear if they were real or fake. This blended with the plot to create a larger narrative. A cinema film will now expand the story further.